This ain't the Fox night. Oh, this game he stinks.
Oh, shit.
It's gone.
Good evening, everyone. It's Monday night. The Sports Hounds are live exclusively here on A2D Radio. He's Brad Ryer. I'm Rob Brinkman. Frank Vesby's behind the scenes producing the show. Hit that like, subscribe, turn those notifications on. Don't miss anything here on A2D Radio. Live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, Twitch, and Instagram. If you miss anything here on A2D Radio, download us wherever you get your podcasts. Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Takeover Talk, A2D Radio, absolutely everywhere. We're brought to you each and every Monday night by All Campus, giving 20% off everything in our store, including hats, shirts, and our team cornhole sets for our subscribers. That's right at between 9th Street and 10th Street on the Ocean City Boardwalk. A lot of fun. We do a pregame show down there each and every Sunday. Be down there 1 o'clock next Sunday. Also brought to you by FanUp, the best way to enjoy fantasy sports. Sign up now at FanUp, only on the Apple Store app, and win your share of great prizes, daily NFL contests, and more. Other sports behind NFL, we got basketball going on. That's why October's so great, Brad. We got basketball. We got baseball. We got hockey. We got everything going on. We got a big show tonight. Monday Night Football preview. NFL, Week 7, total recap. NHL in full swing. NBA, Sixers just continue to just baffle me, disappoint me, anger me. New season, but same old Philadelphia 76ers, Brad. Let's get to our poll question tonight. We're going to focus on football up until the Monday night kickoff. The Philadelphia Eagles are the stinkiest, worst team in probably the worst division in football. The Philadelphia Eagles will finish last in the NFC East. I'm going to start it off. I'm going to absolutely agree. What I watched yesterday was complete garbage. It was absolutely complete garbage. And you know what? I commend Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni scripted his first 15 plays. They went right down the field. They got a touchdown. They go up 7-0. Jalen Hurts was under center. Miles Sanders was involved. They ran the ball. They actually looked like a competent NFL football team. And then after those first 15 play, we got Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, tag team duo, deer in the headlights look, completely overmatched by the rough and tumble world of the NFL. It was a complete joke. They go on to let up 30 consecutive points to the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, Vegas looks like a pretty good team. Looks like a sleeper that was overlooked by many, including us here on the Sports Hounds.
No question.
In preseason. But to give up 30 straight points, to let Derek Carr complete 80% of his passes against a banged-up offense line like the Las Vegas Raiders, I mean, you got guys like Fletcher Cox, team leaders, saying he doesn't want to play screens. He wants to be aggressive. So that tells me that Jonathan Gannon and Nick Sirianni are losing the veterans of this team. Lane Johnson was out back in yesterday, went out. He had another jumbled-up offensive line. You know, Jalen Hurts is just not equipped to play in the NFL. Now, the Eagles, a little bit of breaking news if you're just joining us. Joe Flacco, Howie Football, making moves, has sent in Joe Flacco back to the Jets for a conditional 6th-round pick. Could be a 5th-round pick, depending on Joe Flacco's performance. We'll see. But what that tells me is that Gardner Minshew moves in to the number 2 quarterback position. And I think we're a bad half of football away Sunday in Detroit from seeing Gardner Minshew. And the Eagles are a 1,000% finishing last. You see the Giants. They have competent football players on their football team. They have a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts and Daniel Jones. I didn't think that before the Raiders game, but I do now. You have receivers that are professional. You have a defense with professional players on it. There's not me and John Coyle, we talked about it down in Ocean City, Brad, yesterday. Are the Eagles equipped to contend in 2 years? The answer is clearly no. There's not a gosh darn player on this team that I would miss if they left tomorrow. Not a gosh darn one. So I agree to the poll. They still have 4 games against 2 against Washington football team, 2 against the New York Football Giants, and 1 against the Dallas Cowboys. 5 division games left. If they get 1 win out of those, I'll be satisfied. If you get 2 wins, I'm jumping up and down. My preseason prediction of 8 wins, that's totally out the window. It's a total mess. It's a total mess. I'm looking back at myself in the mirror and trying to, rethink to myself and what I saw to make me think this team was going to win 8 football games. Because I feel like the biggest stew knot ever, picking them to go 8-9, which isn't a great record at all, let alone the people out there that thought they could go 10-7, 11-6, and, win this division before the season. What were you thinking? What did you see? I don't get it.
I saw 5-12 at the beginning of the season.
And they ain't even getting that. They might not even get that.
Yes, they will. Come on. They get to play, first of all, they get to play the Jets. They get 2 with the Giants, 2 with the Washington football team. I mean, they're going to win a cup. They're not going to not win another game. They've got some wins on their schedule, and they'll rise up to the occasion and play a couple of good games. I guarantee you, when they play at home against Dallas, and when they play at home against the Giants, or when they play at home against the Washington football team, I guarantee you they're going to play well again in those games. I think they'll play well at home against Dallas too. I mean, they always do.
Brad, I struggle to see how they're even going to be favored in a game going forward this year. I mean, you're not going to be favored. I don't think you're going to be favored in Detroit next week on the road.
Oh, I think they will be. I think it'll probably be. It may not be a lot. It may be like 1.5 points or 2 points or something like that. But they'll be favored.
Let me see what it is.
Detroit is winless right now. Detroit. Detroit's one of those teams that they're going to play up to whatever competition they play against, and then they find a way to lose.
But I mean, Brad, the final scores of these football games don't indicate how bad the Eagles are as a football team, because they fall behind by a lot.
Right,
and then the other team goes to sleep. They take a little power nap, and the Eagles move the ball a little bit. They get some points, so it doesn't look on the scoreboard as bad as it does.
You're right about that.
This team is horrendous.
You're right about that. So far they've been the kings of garbage time.
And I can't justify Jalen Hurts being the starting quarterback anymore. I can't. You can't sit there and tell me that this guy's a franchise professional quarterback. You can't do it. And I know the coach doesn't help.
A lot of it is their defense, Rob. Their defense at times this year has just been really, really bad.
It's a bad football team.
Their
it's
defense
bad on all 3 levels.
Their defense puts Hurts in a situation where they can't even think about running the ball. I mean, they get ahead 7-0, okay, and then the Raiders end up ahead 17-7 at halftime, okay, and then they go ahead and make it 24-7. I mean, you can't do that. And then the Eagles give up another touchdown. They clang the extra point, so it's 30-7. And then when it's 30-7 and the Raiders are playing prevent, now all of a sudden the Eagles start moving the ball. And they get a couple of scores and get themselves sort of in the game. But then as soon as they sort of get themselves in the game and they need to stop the Raiders from scoring, the Raiders march right down the field and kick a field goal. Just did just enough to make sure that the Eagles never really became a serious threat. And I put it more on the defense. You can't do that to Jalen Hurts and make him a one-dimensional quarterback, because if you do that, he's not good enough to be a one-dimensional quarterback. He's got to have some help.
Yeah, the defense is bad. There's no pressure. Derek Barnett stinks. I can't wait till he's out of town.
Hargraves is the only one that seems to show up every week.
Josh Sweat gets a 3-year extension for God knows what. I don't know. I haven't seen anything out of Josh Sweat to justify a 3-year contract extension and make him a viable option for this team over the next 3 years. I don't see it. Hargrave's been good. They don't have a linebacker who can play. They don't have a safety that can play. Slay is okay. But, I mean, what do you have? I want Eagles fans to put it in the chat. If this team released everybody and started all over from a personnel standpoint, who would you miss? Who would you miss? I wouldn't miss anybody.
Your tight end is pretty good.
Goddard, he's okay.
He's not bad. He's a good tight end. I mean, there are some decent players on this team.
Where?
Their defensive line should be playing better than it is.
But they're not.
The same goes for their offensive line. It should be better.
I mean, the offensive line, according to Stat Geeks on the internet, Jalen Hurts had the most time to throw in the pocket of any quarterback in the entire league last year and still couldn't get anything done. Holds the ball too long. Can't hold the defense. It's the same story every week with this guy. And the head coach does him no favors. This is why I need to see a different quarterback under center, which is why I think we're a bad half of football away from Jalen Hurts to seeing now second stringer Gardner Minshew in the game. Because I need to see if Nick Sirianni is as bad as he looks, which I think he might be.
He is a rookie. He is a rookie coach. So I mean, I hate to say this, and maybe I'm being a little too critical of Jalen Hurts, but does he not remind you of Geno Smith?
He reminds me more of Geno Smith than he does Carson Wentz. Oh, the Carson Wentz haters! Look at Carson Wentz.
No,
Carson Wentz has literally identical stats this year with the Colts as he did in 2017 when he would have won the MVP of the entire league if he didn't get hurt.
I mean, they're both good athletes. They can both run. At times, they throw real nice passes, and then at other times, they make some of the most ridiculous turnovers you've ever seen. They're very similar. I think it's like
Jalen Hurts seems to. I don't think the turnover part's fair, but it's not a bad comparison because I think that Jalen Hurts could make a decent living for himself in this league as a backup quarterback, as Geno Smith seems to be doing. He's going to start tonight on Monday Night Football for the Seattle Seahawks. Love Seattle tonight, by the way. But, Jalen Hurts' turnovers, well, they fumbled the ball. It was a poor snap in the red zone yesterday.
Yeah, but he took his eye off the ball. He should have had that.
Agreed. But then his other seam turnovers are when he tries to advance the football down the field when he underthrows deep throws by 10 yards.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And he doesn't take enough risks in the short passing game to turn the ball over. That's why he doesn't have any turnovers. Is there anyone out there who wants to support Jalen Hurts in this fan base tonight?
Don't know.
Really? Like, where are they? Where are all these people that told me Jalen Hurts was the greatest thing since sliced bread and he was going to make Carson Wentz be a distant memory for this fan base? Where are they? I want to hear from them in the chat.
I got something to add regarding the comment Bitmiss just made about Carson Wentz. Last night, that game was played in a quagmire in pouring rain. So anything those quarterbacks did or anything that anybody who drops the ball or was fumbling yesterday in that weather, I think deserves a pass. Because that was to knock Carson Wentz or anybody else from last night's performance with San Francisco and the Colts is not really fair. I think you have to kind of throw that out. By the way, I don't think Wentz played all that poorly last night in a very, very bad bad weather game. I mean,
no, he had the one turnover in the red zone very, very early in the game where he kind of tried to do a shovel pass and got caught, and he threw a bad interception.
But, I mean, if you look at the weather, I thought he played pretty well. I think he threw the ball in a manner in which it could get caught. You know what I'm saying? He showed a lot of nice touch last night. I think he played pretty well. I mean,
Colts are going to win their games. I've
been
saying it all year.
The Colts found a way to beat a pretty good San Francisco 49er team. I mean, they're not a bad team. They're a better team than their record indicates, most definitely.
Yeah, they played the gauntlet to start off. Rams, Seahawks, Titans. We're going to get to the rest of the league week 7 because we got some big games coming up. When
they start playing some of the garbage teams of the league, I think things are going to change for them. And things are going to change for Wentz. Wentz, I think, is starting to play a little bit better now, and the whole Colt team looks like they're starting to play a little better. So, I mean, that rain yesterday, I mean, listen, the rain was crazy last night. It really was bad. I don't know how much you fans out there watched that game. I watched for pretty much the first half and a little bit of the third quarter, and then I went to bed because I'm an old man, and it was past my bedtime.
Yeah, I was locked in. I had a solid investment on the Colts.
Got you. Yeah, I mean, I love the Colts last night. I just San Francisco, for whatever reason, they have a good defense, but I just felt somehow I had no idea the weather was going to be like that, but I felt that the Colts would find a way to win that game.
Brian Daly, unfortunately, agree with the poll. There are some aspects of the game where there are no aspects of the game where they have been good. Completely agree.
Yeah, I disagree.
You don't think they're going to finish last?
No, I don't.
So you think that they're better than
I think the Giants are going to finish last. The Giants unfortunately are going to. The Giants had the easiest part of their schedule already, and they're 2-5.
Yeah, but now you look at the Giants. Look, they still have a number of games in this division.
Okay.
Have they played Washington yet?
Yes, they lost because the referee blew an offside call.
That's right. Okay. They haven't played the Eagles yet.
No.
I mean, obviously, I think the whole division, Dallas looking clean sweep of this division for the Dallas.
Oh, Dallas is 100 times.
They might clinch next week. I know that's not possible, but I mean, they've already clinched the NFC East.
They may clinch by Thanksgiving.
Well, if you listen to the Sports Hounds prior to the season, I told everyone that Dallas was going to win this division by 4, 5, 6 games. Oh, Brinkman doesn't know what he's talking about. Dallas sucks. Are they going to do anything when the playoffs come around? I don't know yet. But they're easily going to win this division. Nick, checking us out on Facebook. No point benching him. Season is over. Only way he gets benched if we trade for a quarterback. Couldn't disagree more. You can easily – here's why Jalen Hurts should get benched. Because you traded for Gardner Minshew, who's had success in this league.
I don't think he's the answer, though, Rob.
He's not the answer, but he's not
going to make that big of a difference.
He's young, he's cheap, and he can easily be the stopgap if he goes in there and plays well until you can get your franchise guy in there. And by the way, folks, the Eagles are going to have 3 first-round picks. There ain't a quarterback out there to be had in the first round. If you want to take a project guy in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, that's fine by me, but this is a draft. If you end up with those 3 first-round picks, like I think the Eagles are going to have, you build the infrastructure of this team. You take non-quarterbacks, preferably defense, because this defense is so trash. So you can put Gardner Minshew in, and you can have an open battle in camp next year between Gardner Minshew and Jalen Hurts, and who's going to be the stopgap. Jalen Hurts has not promised anything. He's a second-round pick. He wasn't picked to be the franchise guy here. He was picked to be a backup to Carson Wentz in case he got hurt. So I think he's also Jalen Hurts is entitled to nothing.
Jalen Hurts should be the Taysom Hill of your team. If he was the Taysom Hill of the team, he'd be very effective because there are things he can do that they could let him do stuff that they could play to his strengths. Being the starting quarterback is not playing to his strengths.
I'll have to scan the sports books out there, but I guarantee you that Gardner Minshew will see time in Detroit next week if Jalen Hurts has a bad first half?
Well, I think that he's gonna be fine next week. Detroit is awful.
Stuck with the Rams this week. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but of course
the Lions are favored. The Lions are 3-point dogs at home.
Okay,
week.
so that's about right. That's about right.
I don't understand. I don't understand how you can favor any team against the Philadelphia Eagles right now.
The Eagles have beaten bad teams on the road this year. That's the one thing they have been able to do. They beat the Falcons, who were in disarray at the beginning of the season. But Calvin Ridley, by the way, is a player.
He's tremendous. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a player. They beat the Panthers, but after seeing the Panthers yesterday against the Giants, I mean, the Panthers are really a bad team.
I mean, it looks like that Eagles loss has really stung them because they were up 18-3 in that game, and they lose 21-18, and they haven't been the same since.
Well, they haven't been the same because they don't have Christian McCaffrey, and when they needed to move the football, they don't have any game breakers. You know, that's the problem. And Sam Darnold is becoming Sam Darnold again. You're getting the Jets version of Sam Darnold now. So, I mean, the honeymoon in Carolina is over with Sam Darnold.
He benched yesterday.
Yeah, he was terrible yesterday.
Brian Daly,
the Giants did it. Listen, the Giants, with all due respect to my Giants, their defense played well yesterday. But I mean, come on, 3 points against it. You know, when the team the last 2 weeks had given up 38 and 44. So that's 82 points the last 2 weeks. I mean, they were as bad as you've been this year. And I mean, I still think the Giants, because of all their injuries right now, they're going to finish. They're going to finish at the bottom of the division, unless they get these guys back and they're able to stay healthy. I mean, at least if they can get Tony back. You know, then they've got something there. I mean, from what I've seen of Tony so far, he's got a little Odell Beckham in him. He's got that little oomph to give the Giants offense a month. But I mean, we got to get Barkley back. He's got to actually be able to run with the ball, unlike Devontae Booker, who's pathetic. And then, you know, hopefully we'll see what happens. Shepard, I'm starting to really not like him because he never plays. And Galladay, if he plays, you know, okay. Then we'll, you know, maybe it's going to be different. But that team right now the Giants are in disarray. I don't care that they beat Carolina. Carolina stinks.
Johnny Coyle, Joe Flacco trade tells me a lot that Howie told Nick that it's mustache monster time in reference to Gardner Minshew. I think his time will come sooner rather than later to try and lead this football team for Gardner Minshew. Either Jalen Hurts or Gardner Minshew is going to be the starting quarterback next year for this Eagles football team. The starting quarterback next year is in this building right now. Unless some unforeseen Deshaun Watson trade comes to fruition.
I don't think that's happening for the Eagles. I don't think he wants to go to Philadelphia. I think that he's going to end up in Miami. To be honest with you, from all indications, it sounds like you know that's where that's going. I mean, it sounds like Tua has almost resigned himself to the fact that he's not going to be playing there anymore. So I think that's what you're going to be looking at now.
Don 19, the Eagles definitely winning this week. So our resident Detroit correspondent, Don 19, he likes the Birds to take out his Lions this week. I'll take Detroit in the 3.
I can understand his frustration with the Lions. I mean, you know, the one thing is the Lions have had a very tough schedule, and they've given every team they played, they've given a pretty good run for their money. I don't think they've really been have they been blown out by anybody? I'm sure they have. Most of the games have been close, though.
No, yeah, they've been hanging tough.
Yeah,
it's like what is your point?
The Eagles are a better team than the Lions. Come on, they should.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that at all.
I think you're being I mean, listen, the Eagles deserve as much crap as you want to give them. Okay, I'm not saying they don't deserve a little beatdown for the way they played yesterday, but they're not as bad as the Lions.
Brian Daly, Carson is playing with some confidence that makes a difference. Gee, yeah, I wonder why he didn't have confidence in Philadelphia. Oh, because they mismanaged all of his injuries and they didn't give him any receivers to throw to. If you gave Carson Wentz this repertoire of skill position people, Carson Wentz would be having a fantastic season right now. A fantastic season because you wouldn't have to run a stupid RPO offense with him. And if you did want to run a stupid RPO offense with him, Carson Wentz would actually be able to read the defense and make a correct decision about when to run the ball and
I'll tell you,
throw the ball.
Do you remember the touchdown that Carson Wentz scored just before halftime on that RPO when he faked the handoff and then he ran towards the pylon and beat the defenders into the end zone? I mean, that he faked me out. I didn't even know he had the ball.
And he would always be able to move
until you see him running. Until you see him practically in the. I didn't even realize he had the ball until he was in the end zone, and he faked out the whole team. That's the one thing he does very, very well.
Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins.
Devontae Smith drops too many balls. I got to tell you, Rob, yesterday was bad for him. That was a bad look with all those drops. Quez Watkins has some speed, but I mean I don't know.
But those guys are Jerry Rice and Steve Largent compared to the crap that Carson Wentz played with in 2019.
True. That's true.
Travis Fulgham, he can't even dress for the Dolphins. They got less wins than the Eagles. VD Pate, check this out on YouTube. Now we can bench him, play Minshew, and see if Sirianni can coach. Best comment of the night right there. That is the best comment of the night. Because I don't think Sirianni can coach at all, but I need to see him with let's see what he can do with Gardner. And if he can't do anything with Gardner, then it might be a one-and-done scenario for Nick Sirianni.
Well, I don't know how you can fire a coach after 1 year.
Happens more than you think, Brad.
No, I know. But, I mean, the Eagles they don't – the problem is they hung on to their championship team too long. They hung on to too many players too long. They allowed their team to get old, and then they got themselves in a situation where either their players were too old or their players are too young. And once you get into that kind of a situation, this is what you end up having.
So, coaches that have been fired after 1 year since 2006. So what's that? 15-year sample size, roughly?
Yeah.
Freddie Kitchens, Cleveland. Steve Wilkes. Chip Kelly with the Niners. Jim Tomsula, which I believe was also with the Niners. Mike Mularkey. Hugh Jackson was with the Raiders. Jim Mora. Cam Cameron. And Art Shell. So, Nick Sirianni's not guaranteed a second seat.
So there is a track record of it.
That's kind of a lot. Since 2006, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 coaches in 15 years fired after one season.
Yeah.
There's plenty of precedent to get rid of this guy if Jeffrey Lurie gets disgusted. But I don't trust Jeffrey Lurie to go find a coach that's going to work.
The problem is, when you keep if you start with the having 3 coaches in 3 years thing, I mean that just doesn't work. The Freddie Kitchens thing, you knew was going to be a disaster because the Browns had all those big attitude type of players, and you knew that there was going to be trouble at the end of the tunnel with that. Okay, but Art Shell coached the Raiders, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and they didn't really give him a fair shot. I mean, because they never had.
Hugh Jackson was a Raiders guy too. He's on the list as well.
Yeah, I think a lot, but most of the teams, to be honest with you, that you're talking about at the time that those things were happening, they're all clown teams. So you're not talking about established football teams that have a reputation and have been good. I mean, they were complete trash teams, and they were going from coach to coach to coach. I mean, It doesn't work when you keep doing that. Look at the
Niners, San Francisco 49. Remember how much of a train wreck they were for those 10 years there?
The Giants in the last 5 years have had 3 different coaches. It doesn't work. You set your organization back at least 2 years every time you fire a coach. Because the first thing the coach does is he gets rid of all the guys he didn't have, and he'll bring in all his own players. That's the first thing that happens, and God only knows after that.
Binks 301. Why should we remain invested with Howie running the show? Please persuade me.
Well, I think that's your big problem. I think.
Yeah, but I can't waste my breath. Jeffrey Lurie owns the team. He's not selling the team anytime soon. He makes too much money off of it. Howie Roseman is his right-hand man. They are joint at the hip. Howie Roseman's going to be here. Period. End of story. There's no discussion about it. So I'm going to save my breath on trying to persuade you on that. If you don't want to be invested in this team with Howie Roseman, I don't blame you. You're going to have to find a new team because Howie Roseman's going nowhere. Period. And then in terms of this, look, we talked about it on the rant booth yesterday, me and John Coyle. These GMs, they build teams ass backwards. You got to get the most skilled guys you can in either free agency or the draft, and then figure out how you want to play football. This whole nonsense that these teams have their system and they want guys for their system is nonsense. Nonsense. It cost you Justin Jefferson over Jalen Reagor.
I think to me, the best way to build a football team is to build inside out. In other words, you have to get your lines to get your offensive line and your defensive line together, and you have to have a franchise quarterback. You know,
I would build
and you add the skill players. Because if you bring in the skill players without an offensive line and without a defensive line, the skill players really can't go to work. That's the problem. I mean, that's why the Giants went and drafted Barkley with no offensive line, and he keeps getting hurt all the time. This is what I'm talking about. You've got to make sure your trenches are good. The reason the Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2017 is because they had the best defensive line and the best offensive line in the NFL.
Turnovers were a big part of that championship as well.
Right, but their defense created a lot of turnovers.
And Brent, correct? Like, if I'm an NFL GM, I'm doing what you said. I'm building in the trenches and I'm building up the middle on defense. And you got to have DBs for days in this league, the way the game's played now. But I'm getting my franchise quarterback last. Like, what did the Jacksonville Jaguars accomplish last year by taking Trevor Lawrence first in the draft?
Nothing.
He's going to play there 5 years. They're going to suck for 5 years because they got no one around them. And he's either going to request a trade or leave in free agency because they're a train wreck. They always have been and they always will be. So what's the point in taking Trevor Lawrence at the first pick? Trade down a few spots. Take, I don't know, who else was in last year's draft? Take Penei Sewell or an edge rusher. Someone like the meat and potatoes of your team.
Look, something.
Brad, guess what happens when you pay a franchise quarterback? Guess what happens?
Yeah,
it becomes very hard to build around a guy that's counting $100 million against your cap.
Well, look at Joe Burrow. The Bengals went and picked Joe Burrow, but they had some players. It's not like the Bengals were devoid of any talent. They had some players. They went. They got it. They got their quarterback. Last year, he played pretty well until he got hurt. This year, he looks like this year they got him a receiver, and they have a good running back. They've always had a pretty good offensive line. Their defensive line was never terrible, But at that point, again, for the most part, their team was built. And they did a nice job replacing guys like Chad Green and not Chad. What am I saying? Chad Johnson and some of the other guys on that team. Giovanni Bernard, I believe they got rid of him too, correct?
Yeah.
And they got rid of some of their top players, and they went in and they were able to replace them, and then they get themselves the franchise quarterback. And he is a franchise quarterback. What they did to the Ravens yesterday was no fluke.
And then after they picked Joe Burrow, they picked a linebacker out of Wyoming named Logan Wilson, who tackles everything.
Yeah, and you look at the Bengals. The Bengals might win that division. That was a serious beatdown that they gave the Ravens in the second half.
I want to go around the league here because I'm sick of talking about the Eagles and how much of a train wreck they are. But I want to go around the league because it's week 7. We're through 7 games minus the Monday night game this week. So I think we kind of get an idea of who teams are, who's real, who's not, and who can legitimately make a run at a Super Bowl championship here as we move into January and February. So I'm just going to have my ESPN app open. We're going to look at the games one by one, and we're just going to react to them. We had the Browns and the Broncos on Thursday Night Football. The Browns are a mess. The Broncos aren't very good.
Games in Denver?
The game was last week. We're going with the games that happened last week.
Denver won, didn't they?
Denver lost
to a
Baker Mayfield-less Cleveland Browns team in Cleveland, 17-14.
Okay.
Neither of those teams are contenders. Denver has a decent defense, but not really much else. And the Browns are so injured. I don't see them making a run at all. And I picked them to go to the Super Bowl in preseason.
Oh, I like them too this year.
Now you go to the Sunday games, the Packers and the Washington football team. Do you think the Packers are going to win? Are they contenders? They have one loss. But I look at the Packers and I think they're missing something.
Who have they beaten?
No one really. I mean,
yeah, they're beating up on crappy teams.
I mean, now they're going to Arizona on Thursday Night Football,
and they're going to get their butts kicked.
Well, yeah, Devontae Adams has COVID.
Oh, jeez.
So
that's guaranteed loss.
So he needs 2 negative COVID tests in the next 24 hours apart, leading into a Thursday game. So it's almost a foregone conclusion that he's not going to be in the football game.
Well, it doesn't matter even if he was. The Packers aren't going there aren't beating them in the desert.
And Washington stinks. This is why I had optimism that if the Eagles could get it done yesterday, you beat Vegas, you get a little momentum, you go smack around Detroit because they stink, and you're 4-4, and then it's kind of game on. Maybe you can get to 8 wins and double your win total, which would have been a successful season. But now, what you have to look at, Brad, is the Detroit Lions, your Giants, the Jets, the Washington football team, all these teams that stink say, oh, we stink, but at least we got the Eagles in week 10. We'll win that.
Which is true. That's true. I mean, I was looking at the Giants' schedule, and the next 3 games are guaranteed losses. And then I see the next 3 games after that are the Dolphins, the Eagles, and the Washington football team. And I'm saying to myself, that could be 3-0.
Look, you look at the Giants' prospects to, maybe make a run at a wild card spot, or if Dallas falters.
The Giants are going to be 2-8. So by the time they get that nice little 3-game win streak, that'll put them at 5-8. There's no way they're going to make.
But the Giants are going to Kansas City next Monday night.
They're not winning in Kansas City next Monday. The
Chiefs stink. I don't think it's as far-fetched as you're making it out to be. The Chiefs stink.
They had a bad game last week, but don't forget who we're talking about here.
You're having a bad season, and Patrick Mahomes is in concussion protocol, so we don't know about that yet. Will be cleared probably because the NFL won't let the golden boy that is Patrick Mahomes miss a primetime game. But they had no chance against Tennessee last week. They haven't looked good since they beat the Eagles 42-30. And they let up 30 points to Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles, and they stink. The Eagles' offense stinks, and they got 30 on the Chiefs. That's bad. The Chiefs are not a good football team. So for you to sit here, I'm not dismissing the Giants' chances next Monday night at all.
From your mouth to the good Lord's ears, I don't think so.
Greg Malakovic, absolutely agree with the poll. Let's lose to Detroit. Who can honestly say we're going to win? Well, Vegas thinks we're going to win because we're 3-point favorites on the road, which I don't understand for the life of me. Crazy that this team.
I think they're going to win too.
And then we just talked about the Titans. Are the Titans the best team in the AFC?
No.
No? Why not?
No. I don't think they're the best team in the
better?
AFC.
They just beat Buffalo. They just beat Kansas City.
If Buffalo played them in Buffalo, Buffalo would have won.
Okay, but they didn't, and Tennessee won.
I'm just saying, yeah. I'm just saying, yeah.
They're 5-2.
Buffalo still has a better record than Tennessee. Or no, they're 5-2 as well. So,
I mean, who's better? Cincinnati? Baltimore just lost to Cincinnati. I can't put Baltimore in the conversation for the best team in the AFC. So it's what is it? Baltimore, Tennessee, Cincinnati, Buffalo, and San Diego right now. Or San Diego and the Chargers. But the Chargers got smoked by the Ravens.
Okay.
So how do you handicap that?
Yeah, so I guess maybe no, I'm not going to say the Raiders because I don't believe that.
But they're in the mix too.
The Raiders are pretty good.
The Chiefs stink. The Bengals are clearly better than the Ravens. Bengals also have a win over the Steelers as well, so they are in control of that division right now.
Yes, they are.
So you look at the AFC, we're through 7 weeks. Are the three best teams in the AFC the Raiders, the Titans, and the Bengals?
I don't know.
That sounds weird. But look at
their
resumes.
I mean, they could be, but I mean, I don't know. I think right now, I think there are some underperforming teams in the AFC, and I think things are going to start changing pretty soon. Although Tennessee, I'm not going to sit here and try to say Tennessee is good. I mean, I picked them to win that division, and they look every bit the part. But Tennessee is a strange team. They have these weird games that they lost to the Jets. Which is almost incomprehensible for that to happen. They're a strange team. They have these games where you just scratch your head like, how the heck did that happen?
They're already a game up on the Colts. They beat Buffalo. They beat Kansas City.
Well, let's see how they play on the road when they have to go on the road.
I guess they're going to Indianapolis next week, so that'll be a good one. We'll preview that in early leans once we get through the games in Week 7. Brad, the Patriots, they throttled the New York Jets yesterday, 54-13. And Brad, I don't think the Patriots are that great, despite that win. The Patriots are going to play adequate to their competition, meaning that if they're playing a stinky team like the Jets, that's what they're going to do. They're going to win by a lot. They're going to win the football game. But they play a good team, a contending team like the Cowboys, like they did 2 weeks ago, they're not going to have enough to get it done.
No, and it's the same thing happened against Tampa Bay.
Correct.
I mean, they'll be competitive. They'll be competitive, but they're not there yet.
And then Mac Jones, to me, through 7 games, is the best rookie quarterback in this class.
Oh, no question.
So, I mean, I haven't even seen Trey Lance. My boy Justin Fields looked lost in Chicago.
Wow, that Tampa Bay defense when they're on, I mean, he was getting murdered yesterday.
Brad, the Bears' best offensive lineman is Jason Peters, who is 39 years old and could barely see the field in Philadelphia last year.
Yeah, and
he signed him off the street a week before the season. He's their starting left tackle.
Yeah, they're. I mean, maybe they were right. Maybe that's why they decided to start Dalton. They didn't want this kid to get beat up and lose his confidence. Because yesterday, I mean, that's probably that game probably answered a lot of your questions because I know you were quite animated about the fact that you wanted to see him play, and it's not that he's not ready to play. It's just that team is not going to help him out right now. There's just too many problems on that offensive line. You don't want that guy taking that kind of a beating.
Well, he's got to learn somehow, and I do
No,
think Justin Fields.
I understand that, but that was
Brad. It's about in professional sports, whether you're a 10-year vet or a rookie or a high draft pick, high paid free agent, or a guy off the street. You got to play who gives you the best chance to win football games. Who gives you a better chance to win football games?
I agree, but you also want to put people in a position to succeed.
You can't coddle these guys. You can't coddle these guys, especially at the quarterback position. You got to get them in there, and you got to figure out if they're your guy or not, so you can move on. Who gives you a better chance to win in Chicago, Justin Fields or Nick Foles?
Right now?
Yeah.
Maybe
the answer is Justin Fields. It's rhetorical. It's not even a question. Justin Fields is a way better talent than Nick Foles. Same with Justin Fields versus Andy Dalton.
But he can't read defenses like Nick Foles. He can't make split-second decisions like Nick Foles. Not yet.
Well, he's going to have to learn, and the Bears have to figure out as soon as possible if he can play or if he can't. And by the way, I still think he can play.
Oh, I think he can play too. But all I'm saying is that getting beat up like that is not going to help him. It's not going to help his development.
Well, if he can't handle taking a couple shots in the chops as a rookie, then I don't want him on my team, and get him the hell out because he's soft.
He took a lot more than a couple of shots yesterday.
That's what happens in the NFL.
Oh, I understand.
That's what happens. You get hit.
I understand that, but there were plays where he didn't have a chance yesterday.
I get it.
That was
I get it.
That's for a rookie. That can be that's not helpful for a rookie. As I said, the whole deal is you want to see these guys succeed. You want to put them in an opportunity where they're going to shine, and you want to have them have their best chance to win. So, it was rough. It was a rough game for him. But, I think he'll get better.
And the story of the day, the story of the NFL through 7 weeks is the Arizona Cardinals. They beat the Houston Texans 31-5 yesterday. They cover an obnoxious 20.5-point spread. And,
and both of us said that wasn't enough.
Yeah.
We both like the Cardinals to cover that.
I know. I only took one of them Mickey Mouse lines, and it was the Bears plus 13.5, and it lost.
You know what? I
was going to bet on the Lions too, plus 16.5, and I chickened out. And that would have won. Yeah. All right, we got a Monday Night Football game ready to kick off. Saints, Seahawks, a little bit of a weird game. Seahawks, what is it, 4.5 or 5? What's the line here at kickoff? I like Seattle. I like Seattle here a lot. It's tough for me to – first off, the Saints are a dome team, and they're going outside, and the weather doesn't look great in Seattle tonight. The whole West Coast, up and down, is just getting pounded by rain. It looks windy. It looks rainy. It looks chilly. That's not good.
A guy like Geno Smith in this weather, with his athleticism, could be a factor.
So it's up to 5.5. I'm gladly taking the 5.5. It's plus 185 on the money line. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on the money line as well. But, Brad, I just can't justify the Saints getting way too much love for Vegas for past accomplishments with Drew Brees and Michael Thomas, who neither of which are playing tonight, to be 5.5-point favorites on the road. This team lost to the Giants at home. I don't understand this line at all.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't understand this line at all.
Rob, I didn't understand the 13 points that the Bears were getting from Tampa Bay either. I thought that line was way too high.
It's true. And my biggest bet yesterday was the Eagles. So clearly I don't know what I'm talking about.
When you see a fishy line, sometimes somebody knows something that we don't.
But maybe you can You can get DK in space. You can find Tyler Lockett in space. Geno Smith has weapons at his disposal.
Geno
At
Smith,
least a little bit.
He can throw the ball. His decision making is less than exemplary, shall we say? That would probably be the best way to describe Geno Smith. But he can run the football a little bit. He's not the most accurate quarterback, but he does have a strong arm, and I would think that he would be a good mutter. So if the weather is off on that field, I think that he would be pretty effective.
It looks it's nowhere near the weather that we had the other night in the Sunday night game between the Colts and the Niners, but it doesn't look very pleasant. And
the weather that game last night was a mess.
And Geno Smith or Jameis Winston, he doesn't have the most sound decision making abilities either.
No, he's similar, but he's a little bit better than Geno Smith.
Oh, he's just a better talent. I mean, he's the first pick in the draft and was a Heisman finalist. So
and he played on a great team in college too. That didn't help. Didn't he go to Florida State?
Florida State, Jameis, West Virginia for Geno Smith.
Yeah. So there's something to be said about that.
All right, let's do early leans. Way too early preview of Week 8 of the NFL. Damn, almost halfway through the regular season here. Brought to you by our A2D membership package, $9.99 a month. Get you some amazing perks, including shout-outs, members-only shows, appearances, and weekly picks from the Money Pop podcast. Join today. Check out the link. It's right there in the comments. Join up, $9.99. They give you a lot of winners there on the Money Pop podcast. First game, Thursday night, which I hate that this game's on Thursday. Green Bay visiting Arizona. The line was 3 in favor of Arizona. Then Devontae Smith got COVID. It went up to 6. I don't see any scenario where Devontae Adams is going to be able to play in this football game.
No. There's no way.
Aaron Rodgers is going to have to be super magical in this game.
Well, somebody else has to step up for the Packers. And I just don't know that they have the receivers to step up. And I don't know. That's going to be awfully tough. I like Arizona. Arizona's just right now they're playing on an extremely high level, and I don't see anything changing.
Going Sunday slate, Cincinnati traveling to New York, take on the Jets. Cincinnati's laying 8.5. I have no problem laying this number.
No.
Bengals are for real, folks. Bengals are for real. They are going to be factors in the AFC deep into January. They have a great quarterback. They have a great offense. They're good in the trenches. Their defense is extremely underrated. They have a great pass rush.
Their offense with the running with Mixon and that young receiver they drafted, they are looking mighty fine right now.
Showdown time in the AFC South. Tennessee traveling to Indianapolis. Indianapolis a 1-point home underdog. So Indianapolis getting one at home. I like the Colts here.
Yeah, I do as well. I think the Colts are good. I think that was a huge win last night for the Colts. You win a tough game against a tough physical team, and that should get you that. If anything, that a game like that should get you ready to face the ultimate physical battle against the Tennessee Titans. I like the Colts. It's going to be a close game, but I would expect that the Titans are going to win. The Titans are not going to win this game.
Titans got to come back to earth here at some point as well.
Well, again, they lost to the Jets on the road. Okay, I'm not convinced that team can win games like this on the road. They haven't shown it yet. Prove it to me.
Now we got some more big lines. The Miami Dolphins going to Buffalo. Buffalo a 13.5-point favorite. I guess I would lay it.
Buffalo comes off a bye. Buffalo's going to smoke them. Yeah, that could be a really ugly game. I'd lay the lumber.
Another Mickey Mouse line. The Rams going to Houston. That's a 14-point spread. Houston 14-point home dogs.
Jeez.
I'm not. I'm laying the 14. Rams are very good.
Yo, they are that. That's for sure. Yeah, I wouldn't be afraid to lay the lumber against the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans are a awful football team. They can't score. So when you have situations like that where the other team can't score, you can lay the 14 comfortably because the Rams are going to get their points.
The Toilet Bowl, the Philadelphia Eagles travel to Detroit. Eagles, a 3-point road favorite. I'm taking the Lions +3.
Yeah, I would take the Lions and the 3 points, but I like the Eagles to win the game.
Pittsburgh,
It's going to be a very close game, though.
Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. Pittsburgh, Cleveland, excuse me. Pittsburgh going to Cleveland. Cleveland's a 3.5-point favorite.
Is Baker playing?
Not sure. I mean, his shoulder didn't seem well.
Well, if Baker's not playing, I don't see the Browns beating the Steelers.
No, I like the Steelers in this game. +3.5.
Yeah, I would take the Steelers.
Niners, Bears. Bears are 3-point home dogs. Matt Nagy has COVID announced today, so we don't know if he's going to be able to coach. Matt Berg, yes, Deuce Staley is the assistant coach on the Lions. I don't know exactly what his job title is. Yes, DeAndre Swift is the Lions running back. Yes, DeAndre Swift is very good. And yes, I expect DeAndre Swift to have a big game on Sunday against a porous Swiss cheese trash can defense that the Eagles play. So that's a good point there by Matty Berg in the YouTube chat. Niners, Bears, I don't know. Both these teams don't really show me much. I don't think the Niners are that great. I don't think the Bears are that great.
I think the Niners are a little better. I go with the Niners.
Carolina, Atlanta. Atlanta's a 3-point home favorite. I like the Falcons here.
I like the Falcons because
they've been playing better.
Yeah, the Falcons have definitely picked it up since the beginning of the season. And
they're playing better.
Yeah, right now Carolina right now looks like they might be the worst team in the NFC the way they're playing right now. Yes, that means worse than the Eagles, guys. So they're their one team until they get McCaffrey back. I don't think they're going to win another game.
Look, we just talked about the Patriots, how they play adequate to their competition. They beat the Jets 54-13 on Sunday. They're traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. I really like the Chargers here. I'll lay the 5.5 easily.
5.5?
5.5, yes, sir.
I take the Pats at 5.5.
I mean, fair. I mean, you can't ever go wrong taking points in the NFL, but the Chargers are just a better team than the Patriots.
5.5 points is a lot, though.
You have the Jaguars traveling to Seattle next week. And the Seahawks are only a 3.5-point favorite.
Oh, I think the Seahawks will be able to handle them.
Easily, right?
I mean, it doesn't matter who's quarterbacking them. Even if Geno Smith is quarterbacking them.
I'm betting that right now.
I would take Seattle. That should be. I mean, they should be able to win that game.
There you go. I just put $10 on Seattle -3.5.
Yeah, that seems to be.
This 4 o'clock slate is pretty lackluster. Chargers, Patriots, not a bad game. You got the Saints hosting Tampa Bay. Saints are dogs in the Superdome. I can't even believe there's lines out for the Seattle's game next week and the Saints game next week. They haven't even played yet this week, but they have them out.
But you don't even know who's going to be healthy.
Right. That's why you can hop on. I think you can hop on something.
How long is Russ out?
They think he's going to be able to play in Week 10.
Oh, that's a while from now. So, yeah, but I still think you know what? Seattle is not that bad. They're not that bad.
The Jaguars are terrible.
The Jaguars are terrible. I mean,
and the Jaguars are on the road.
Yeah, what's the line? 3.5?
3.5.
Oh, they should be able. Jesus, the Seahawks should be able to cover that.
Gotta lock it in.
That should be an easy game. I mean, Seattle may be Seattle's have their problems, but they're better than that.
And that game is underway in Seattle. Seattle getting the ball first. Here comes Geno Smith out. Washington football team and Denver Broncos. Denver's at home, -3. I suppose I'll take the Denver Broncos at home.
I take the Broncos at home. The Broncos are a notoriously good home team, so I take the Broncos at home.
Primetime games, you get the Dallas Cowboys traveling to Minnesota. Dallas is favored on the road, deservingly so. 2.5 points they're laying. I'm taking Dallas all day.
I take Dallas all day long.
Minnesota's not good.
Minnesota's not a good team. Dallas wins that game. Dallas is a good team. Dallas is one of the best teams in football, unfortunately.
And they both had a bye this week.
Which is good. Which is good for Dallas because their guys can get some rest.
I'm locking that one in too. I'm gonna put. Yeah, I'm locking that in too. Lock in the 2.5.
Yeah, I like that. That's
a better team. They're more physical. Look, Dallas. If this is the best Dallas team I've maybe ever seen. In all their Romo teams and all their Dak Prescott teams, this is probably the best Dallas team that I've seen because they're physical and they run the ball and they don't just have Zeke Elliott. Tony Pollard's a pretty good change of pace back.
And their defense is a lot better this year. Yeah,
well, you get Diggs, who's just an ultimate playmaker. He's just a straight ball hawk.
Diggs is outstanding, and the linebacker that they drafted,
Parsons, has been terrific.
Parsons, I mean, that guy would have been a real star if the Eagles took him.
Yeah, but the Eagles needed to do something with.
No, I understand the Eagles needed receivers, but boy, he would have been. I mean, he could have been the leader of their defense for years to come too.
I don't know how much you've been watching college football this year, Brad.
Little bit.
But the Georgia Bulldogs are the number 1 team in the country, and their defense is one of the best I've seen at the collegiate level in some time.
Yeah, they have a good defense. Hey, getting to college football, what do you think of Pittsburgh's quarterback?
Pickett?
Yeah. Because I'll tell you what, I've watched him play a couple of times now. I'm pretty impressed with him. I mean, is he a pro quarterback, you think?
I think he'll get drafted.
I think he will too.
I'm going to bring up a mock draft here in a second.
I don't think he's going to be a first-round pick, but I could see a third-round pick on him.
He'll get picked.
Yeah,
he started forever there.
He's pretty good.
I think he's going to have a lot of records. This is
This is by far the best Pitt team we've seen in a long time.
And then last game of the season. The last game of the slate here, the Giants travel to Arrowhead. Giants are getting 10.
Not enough.
I don't think that. I disagree. I don't think the Chiefs are good enough to be given 10 points to anybody.
Let's see who's playing. I mean, here the whole thing with the Giants is who's playing. That's kind of the story right now. I mean, if you're going to tell me that the Kadarius Toney is coming back and playing in this game, and they're going to have Galladay coming back, which I doubt he's coming back, but at least Toney is playing, the Giants have a shot, and Barkley too, because Barkley was supposed to be a 2-week injury, so you may see that. Fortunately for the Giants, that was a low ankle sprain, not a high ankle sprain. And those low ankle sprains, players tend to come back pretty quickly from that. So it really kind of depends on their health. If the Giants get their healthy players back, perhaps they can make it a game, but I don't see it. I don't see it. Their defense, just because they shut down Sam Darnold, I mean, that Patrick Mahomes, I know he's not having a good year, but, it's still a whole different ball game.
If he's playing.
Huh?
If he's playing.
Well, Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah.
If he'll play. He'll play.
You're probably right, because the NFL won't let a golden boy
listen, there's no way Kansas City is going to play on national television that they're going to that if he's close to ready, he'll be playing. So I would expect I would definitely lay the 10 points if I'm Kansas City. Not optimistic at all when it comes to the Giants. Just because they beat a terrible Carolina team does not convince me of anything. All it convinces me of is that the Giants aren't the worst team in the NFL. Okay, that's about all I'm convinced about right now.
All right, Brad, we got a World Series to talk about. Game 1 is tomorrow.
Love Atlanta.
I like Atlanta, too. I think they have better pitching. I think they have a better bullpen, and I think that the lineups are close. But if I had to...
The Astros have a slightly better lineup, but that's counteracted by the fact that the Braves' pitching is way better than Houston's pitching. I'm sorry. I am not going to trust two rookies in a World Series. And you're basically looking at Framber Valdez, who is basically a rookie, and Luis Garcia, who's also basically a rookie. You can give me stats that, they pitched a few games last year, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, this year they've been both very up and down, particularly Valdez. When Valdez is on, he's great, but when he can't, he's had so many games where he couldn't get the ball over the plate. And I think the Braves right now look like a destined team. They remind me a lot of the Nationals from 2 years ago. And they have and the Braves have some outstanding players. That Riley, the third baseman, tremendous player. Freddie Freeman, we all know what he can do. And Eddie Rosario has always been a good player. I've always liked him, and I was kind of hoping the Yankees might pick him up in the offseason. He's playing great right now.
He had 14 hits in 6 games in the NLCS. Record-breaking performance. He was the MVP of the NLCS.
As well, and deservedly so.
He was a trade deadline acquisition by Anthopoulos down there in Atlanta.
Yep.
Their center fielder, Duvall, he's playing great baseball. He was also a trade deadline acquisition.
You mentioned Duvall is another one. Adam Duvall, has brought himself back from the dead. I mean, he was a real good player a few years ago, and now he's back to that level again with the home runs and the RBIs. Always been a pretty good outfielder. And it's remarkable what that team's done.
They have Freddie Freeman. They have Freddie Freeman. They have Ozzie Albies. They have Riley, and they have Dansby Swanson. That's a great infield, both offensively and defensively.
I mean, they have a hell of a lineup. Now, is it as good as Houston's lineup? Probably not. Maybe not quite as good as Houston's lineup, but you know what? It's close. But what's not close is the Braves pitching. The Braves have better pitching, and I think that that's going to be the difference.
And Charlie Morton is going to go tomorrow.
And that's probably good.
For Game 1 against Framber Valdez. I mean, look, I don't know how these starters are going to get an experienced mashing lineup like the Braves out consistently. I like the Braves in 5. I don't think this is really...
This is not a vintage Astro team. They don't have McCullers. Okay, Verlander has been canned all season. Losing McCullers to me was a very, very big injury because McCullers was the one guy who you can count on to get people out. Right now, I believe Houston is going to be going with Valdez, Garcia, Zach Greinke, and Urquidy, and I don't think that's going to be good enough.
That's not good enough.
That is not good enough. And their bullpen's been a bit shaky this year. It may have been good enough against the Red Sox because let's be honest, okay, the Red Sox have been an up and down hitting team all season. The Red Sox have been one of those teams when they're hot, They're hot with hitting, but their hitting has been very inconsistent all season. They've had some hot streaks, and then they've had some cold streaks, and their bats just went ice cold in the playoffs. And I don't know if that's the Red Sox fault or it was the Astros pitching's fault. I'm going to blame the Red Sox more, to be honest with you. But I think the Braves win this series.
I think Boston overachieved.
They did. They didn't have Boston's pitching wasn't nearly good enough to get them where they were this year.
You have a young core in Boston that's going to be there for a while with Alex Verdugo, Bogarts, Devers.
Yep. They got 3 nice hitters on their team.
And then Sale's going to be back because he's making a bunch of money.
Yeah, but how good is he going to be? We don't know. Yeah, we don't really know how good he's going to be.
Wow, there's DK Metcalf just absolutely housing intermediate route by Geno Smith. Great ball by Geno Smith. DK Metcalf just absolutely houses it. 84-yard touchdown for DK Metcalf. That guy's an animal. You just got to get it somewhere near him, and that's that. He torches Lattimore. Look, he torches Lattimore.
Nobody can really cover him.
Lattimore's trying to out-physical him. And Lattimore commits pass interference, if you ask me. DK Metcalf just shrugs him off like nothing, catches the ball, and runs 84 yards for the touchdown. So 7-0 Seattle. But, I mean, I like the Braves in 5. I just bet Braves in 5. It's plus 750. Braves in 6 is plus 600.
So the Astros are favored?
I believe the Astros are a slight favorite, yes.
Interesting.
Minus 150 for the Astros, plus 130 for the Braves.
That's a pretty big that's a pretty heavy favorite.
Yeah, I don't know how you can have that little respect for the Braves. You know, they beat the Brewers. They were underdogs against the Brewers. They're underdogs against the Dodgers. And now they're underdogs against the Astros.
The Dodgers are a good baseball team, and they beat them pretty easily. I mean, to be honest with you, if the Dodgers didn't have that one miracle rally, it would have been a lot worse.
Dave Roberts stinks. I mean, I'm sorry, but I couldn't put up with him as my manager. To have that team and come up short like that, to not give your ace starting pitchers leadway. I mean, you get away with it in the wild card game against St. Louis, pitching Max Scherzer 4 2/3. Then you're in Game 6, and you scratch Max Scherzer from the start because he has arm fatigue. Well, I guarantee you, if you told Max Scherzer to go out there and pitch, he's going to give you everything he's got. I mean, this is Game 6. You lose, you're out.
Right.
You got to give Scherzer a go. I don't know what they're thinking.
They also didn't have Kershaw, and they didn't have Bauer, so that didn't help.
Well, I don't think they're going to have Bauer next year.
No, I don't.
Kershaw, it's no surprise that he got hurt. I don't know. I don't like his style. I don't like his style with the pitching staffs. Anytime, no matter how good or bad they are, someone gets into trouble, he just pulls them right out of the game.
Yeah, I agree. And the other problem with Kershaw is that Kershaw is always bad in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, when does he really pitch well in the playoffs? I can't remember. Him really being a major factor in the playoffs.
No, it's always been his bugaboo.
Yeah, that's so. In any event, I look at the Houston lineup, and there's going to be 3 games where there's going to be no DH. Okay, so does that mean Mickey Brantley isn't playing 3 games?
I don't know what they're going to do. I discounted that, but I mean, it gives the Braves an advantage.
That's the other thing. I guess they could put Mickey Brantley in left field, but with his knees and his health and everything, he's at this point in his career, he is a DH. If he's going to go out there, I'm trying to think. Their outfield is what? Tucker. Who's the rest of their outfield? Tucker. Now I'm drawing a blank with Houston's outfield, but their outfield, they've got some young, fast guys in the outfield, and they're all pretty good hitters. Where are you going to put Mickey Brantley? And Mickey Brantley's a key part of their offense. You put him out.
You got to play him.
I know you do. You put him out in left field. The Braves are their hitters are the kind of hitters that if there's a weak outfielder, they're going to hit the ball there every time.
Here's their lineup in Game 6 against Boston, the clincher. They had Altuve, Brantley, Bregman, Alvarez, who they probably – I don't know where they're going to put Alvarez.
Alvarez is their DH.
Right.
Alvarez is their DH. Where are they going to put him? They're going to take Gurriel out and put him at first base?
No, he's rendered useless in a National League park. So the Astros better get after it at home here.
Yeah, they're gonna. I was wrong about Brantley. Sorry about that, but they're gonna miss a very big time offensive player.
Chas McCormick plays center, Kyle Tucker plays right, and Brantley plays left.
Okay,
so that'll be intact. But Alvarez is your 4-hitter.
Oh, Alvarez killed Boston.
Is a beast.
Yeah, he killed Boston. I mean, are they going to put him at first base? Maybe. They could do that.
Gurriel, because Bregman's not.
And they're going to take Gurriel, who's the batting champion, off of first base.
No, I can't take Gurriel out of my lineup.
Yeah,
he's okay defensively. He's not a Gold Glover, but he's certainly not a butcher out there.
He's the batting champion,
and he's the batting champ.
You can't. So either they're going to lose the batting champion, or they're going to lose. They're going to lose an awesome hitter. They're going to lose. Bottom line is, the Braves are not only going to have a huge home field advantage, but they're going to have a big home field advantage just because of that as well. So
I think it's going to be tough for Houston to win this series.
Yeah. They're at a marked disadvantage on the road in those games because their DH is a DH, and he does not play the field really at all. And the problem is the two positions that he probably could play, first base or left field. You can't take out Brantley, and you can't take out you take out Brantley or you take out Yuli Gurriel, and you're really killing their offense. So,
but Jameis Winston is not locked in on Monday Night Football. He is inaccurate could be. I mean, he is just throwing the ball around. I mean,
we've seen this before out of him.
I mean, he throws the ball way too late there. That guy's open. He stinks. I feel so confident in my bet right now. Obviously, I'm up 7-0, getting 5. I don't know. I bet yesterday, so I might not be getting the full 5.5. But, I just put $35 on the Braves to win the World Series. I have $10 on the Braves in 5. I have $17 on Dallas minus 2.5, and I have $10 on Seattle minus 3.5 over Jacksonville. I usually don't do this and bet early, but we'll see how it works out.
I think that you probably get better lines. I think you're going to be okay. Love the Braves, though. Love the Braves. I just think that they're just playing really at a very high level. And again, the Astros losing the DH for the Astros is a killer. I mean, at least with the Yankees, and I know the Yankees aren't in it, but at least if it was the Yankees, Stanton can at least play left field.
Correct.
I mean that's the thing. And Boston, if they lost their DH, JT Martinez can at least play the outfield if he had to.
Correct.
So I mean that's the difference. When you get a guy that's strictly a DH, if you're lucky enough to get to the World Series, that's when it comes back to bite you. So the Astros, all I can say about the Astros is you guys better win those first two games. If you go to Atlanta and it's 1-1, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. You're without question going to come back down 3-2. You may not even get back to Houston.
That's what I said. I like the Braves in 5.
Yeah,
right,
I would pick them in 6, just to show a little respect to Houston. But I think the Braves are gonna win pretty easily.
Brad, I want to talk about the Sixers for a second, and we'll talk about the NBA because the Sixers and the Knicks, they're going to play tomorrow night. And I think the Sixers are in big trouble.
Measuring stick game for the Knicks.
I think the Knicks measure up very well against a lot of these teams in the East outside of Milwaukee and Brooklyn.
I don't
other
think than last night's hiccup, and that's kind of what it was last night. They won too easily against the Magic on Friday night in Orlando, and then you have a home and home, and then the Knicks get themselves out to a 13-point lead in the second quarter, and they just stopped playing.
So the Knicks lost last night to
They
who?
lost at home to the Magic, which is a terrible loss. But I think they're going to come back. I think that they got caught looking ahead. I think they realized that the Sixers are a measuring stick game. If they can win a game against a team like the Sixers, I think that now they're really thinking about doing things in the NBA East, maybe getting as high as third place. So I think they kind of let it get in their heads, and they didn't come out and play as hard as they should have.
I don't like the Sixers' chances of doing anything in the playoffs, even a little bit, until they get either convince Ben Simmons to play, which doesn't look like it's going to happen. He's never going to play here in Philadelphia again. He's going
to pretend he's hurt.
Right. And then he's playing this mental illness card, this mental conditioning card, which just totally diminishes mental health issues and mental health awareness everywhere, because Ben Simmons is fine. He's just got his feelings hurt a little bit because he's a spoiled little punk brat who didn't want to get fined, so now he's going to get paid to just sit at home.
Pretty much.
Daryl Morey's not going to trade him until he plays for the Sixers and increases his trade value. And that's fine. That's Daryl Morey. That's really the only card he has to get to play, because he didn't trade him in the offseason like he should have. So that's really the only card you have to play if you're Daryl Morey. And the Sixers are significantly worse short Ben Simmons. Now, you want to trade Ben Simmons and get some guys in here, then we can talk about where they measure up in the East. But, Brad, this team is not very good. You can't win in today's NBA when you don't have a go-getter playmaker on the perimeter. And the Sixers don't have that. And they lost to the Nets because of it. They scored they made one basket in the final 5 minutes of the game against Brooklyn on Friday night. You can't in today's NBA, if you need a basket in the half-court set, it can't be a post guy. And I love Joe. He's terrific. But, it's too easy to take away a post guy. You need a perimeter guy that can go get it, and the Sixers don't have it. The Knicks have it in R.J. Barrett. Brooklyn certainly has it with Harden and Durant. Milwaukee has it with Middleton and Drew Holiday. Look at the Celtics. They have two go-getters on the perimeter in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Look at the Heat. Absolutely. They have Jimmy Butler. They have Kyle Lowry. Two go-getters on the perimeter. That's what wins you games down the stretch in the league, not a center. And I hate saying it because I love Joe. Love him. But I think the Sixers are in for tough sledding here, just simply short Ben Simmons, Brad.
Well, I still have a lot of respect for that team. I think they're an awfully good team still. And as I said, as far as the Knicks are concerned, they have a lot to prove. And again, if they can find a way to win in this game, when was the last time the Knicks beat the Sixers? I can't even remember.
I think it's going to happen tomorrow night.
Well, that's a game the Knicks need to win that game. Last year, they lost all the games against the Sixers. Most of them were really close, tough efforts. They fell a little short. Now that they got Fournier, who's definitely a factor from 3-point land, to go with Barrett, and then you've got you've got Randall underneath. They have enough guys to match up offensively. The question is, can Mitchell Robinson stay on the floor long enough to not allow Embiid to just destroy the Knicks? That's going to be something to watch. Mitchell Robinson is a beast defensively. We know that, but he also gets himself in foul trouble a lot. So if the minutes are down, Taj Gibson is not going to stop Embiid at all. Okay, at least with Robinson out there, he'll block a few shots, he'll alter a few shots. He won't make it easy for anybody going down the middle. So let's see if that happens. If the Sixers can get him out of the game early in foul trouble, the Sixers will be unstoppable because the Knicks will have to double and triple team Embiid, and then he'll feed it outside, and you guys will be able to take full advantage of that.
So this game's at the Garden. I'm trying to look to see because I don't think Ben Simmons has ever lost a game to the Knicks that he's played in. So I think it might have been a while since the Knicks have beaten the Sixers.
It's been a long time. It's got to be 5-6 years at least. I mean, I can't remember the last time the Knicks won a game against that team.
I think they're going to win tomorrow. And Glenn Rivers, I'm not going to call him Doc. Sixers have won 15 straight against the Knicks.
There you go. That's pretty accurate then. It's been, 4 or 5 years?
And Doc Rivers stinks. Oh, he stinks. He's so irritating. They don't run sets. They don't run pick and rolls. He doesn't challenge calls that he should. I don't understand his rotations. How can you look me in the face and say that Furkan Korkmaz is your backup point guard? You're going to let him run the offense? You're letting him run the offense in the half-court set when Tyrese Maxey's not in the game? I'm sorry. That's just – I don't like that look at all. I don't like Doc Rivers at all. The Sixers, they just find new ways every game to irritate.
He doesn't like playing the kids, Rob.
He doesn't have a choice. He doesn't have Ben.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying it seems like he prefers to put his trust in. I mean, Korkmaz compared to some of the other guys you have who could be running the team. He's an older player. He's got more experience. He likes the experienced guys. He doesn't want to put it in the hands of a young player. They don't have Shake Milton right now, do they?
No, I think he's hurt.
Well, that's got to hurt a little bit too, right?
I haven't seen him all season, so I assume he's hurt.
Yeah, but I mean, he can kind of run the team. I mean, he's certainly a viable point guard. He's not a bad player. Is he as good as Simmons? No, but he can certainly run an offense.
Yeah, he's got a knee bruise. But I mean, look, I don't know. I don't know. I think they're going to be in the play-in tournament if they can't get Ben Simmons. If they're going to play the whole season just short Ben Simmons, I think they're going to be in the play-in tournament.
I think they're going to be better than that. I still think they can come in third, maybe fourth. Atlanta could grab the 3-hole.
They're not better than Atlanta. They're not better than Milwaukee. They're not better than Brooklyn. I'm not even sure they're better than those 3 teams with Ben Simmons. So, I mean,
it's close. It's close.
Then you got the fourth. Miami Heat. The Miami Heat are very good. The Knicks are good. The Pacers always seem to have a decent team, even though I think the Sixers are better than the Pacers. Boston has a lot of star power. So it's going to be tough.
Boston's been a weird team so far, but they're 1-2, and they've been a weird team, to put it mildly.
As this season progresses and you're just simply down Ben Simmons, that's going to catch up to you.
Well, they're going to have to do something. They can't just sit there and let this continue. I mean, how long can you have Ben Simmons not play? I mean, can this go on until Thanksgiving?
Daryl Morey was on a radio interview here in Philadelphia with the Mike Missinelli show on 97.5 The Fanatic. He said that, he'll dig in for 4 years if he has to. Like, Ben Simmons has 4 years on his contract until he gets a difference maker back or what he thinks is adequate value for Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is gonna sit, and he's not gonna play, or he won't be traded. Whether he plays or not, I guess, is up to Ben Simmons and Rich Paul.
Well, I guess the question is, what do they consider equal value?
Interesting question. Because I don't think
we're going to get back to the same argument we had with the fans a couple of weeks ago. That's Kyrie Irving, trading Kyrie Irving for.
It makes so much sense. It just makes so much sense for both teams. Look at Brooklyn.
I think both teams would be highly hesitant to trade with each other. I think that might be more of the problem than anything.
I wouldn't want to give Ben Simmons to the Nets if I'm bored.
And if you're the Nets, do you really want to give Kyrie Irving to the Sixers?
No, that doesn't matter because you give the Nets a defensive floor general, which they can really use because Harden and Durant, they're going to take all the shots. It doesn't matter if Ben Simmons passes up a dunk.
Well, yeah, no, it doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, it would be encouraged.
Yeah, just give the ball to Harden, give the ball to Durant, and get the hell out of the way.
Right. I mean,
go play defense and go push pace when you can.
Yeah, if you they'll be happy with you scoring 10 points a game.
Makes so much sense.
Too much sense. Yep, that would make too much sense. I think both the Sixers and the Nets wouldn't want to make that trade because of it.
And then Kyrie, I mean, you haven't had a creator on the perimeter since Iverson.
Not like him.
Philadelphia. So I don't understand why you're trading baggage for baggage at this point.
Right.
Like, you're not getting these fans that think they're going to get Damian Lillard or Bradley Beal for Ben Simmons. It baffles my mind. What league are you watching?
First of all, I don't think Bradley Beal is going anywhere. I think Bradley Beal really likes playing in Washington. From what I've heard, he's very happy in Washington. Even though he's not winning, he likes playing there.
And Dame Lillard seems to like it out in Portland.
Right. Lillard doesn't really want to go anywhere either.
I'm sure both those guys have no trade clauses in their contract.
Right. So they're going to go where they want to go if they want to go anywhere. And Ben Simmons doesn't really have a choice. But
he wants out.
Right. Well, he wants to go to Los Angeles.
Why would the Lakers? Well, the Clippers aren't a good trade partner. The Clippers can't give me anything.
No, listen,
desirable for Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons wants to play in Los Angeles. That's his whole thing.
I want to do nothing too and make $140 million over the next 4 years, but it doesn't work like that. He's going to have to do something. If he wants out of Philadelphia, he's going to have to go where he's traded.
Yeah, the Sixers.
I think the best case scenario at this point, Brad, is a CJ McCollum type swap. He's a good player, not a great player. He can come in. He's a combo guard. He can defend. He can get you some buckets. That's like the best case scenario, I think, for Ben Simmons.
But what about a guy like Buddy Hield out in Sacramento?
I can't. He's so bad at defense. Like, he's a bench guy. I don't know.
He can score, though.
He can score. Absolutely. I would like Buddy Hield.
Yeah, I mean,
you're
not going to get Levine, so forget that.
No, and I think the Bulls are good, and I forgot the Bulls yet again when I was listing teams in the East that are better than the Sixers without Ben Simmons. If the Sixers are just short Ben Simmons the entire year and don't trade and are relying on him to play,
it is going to catch up with them, no question.
At the Bulls, like, they can't beat the Bulls. Don't say it.
They would have a
Sorry.
tough time winning against the Bulls. You're right. But it's got to get to a point where somebody does something there. Something's got to give, because the Sixers can also file a grievance with the league if Simmons refuses to play.
Well, right now the latest is that he's playing the injury conditioning card. He's being paid, and
conditioning
he's not with
playing
the team.
Is he playing in the G League?
No, he's not doing anything.
So then how can he be conditioning? What kind of crap is that? How did they get away with that?
That's what it is, Brad. It's crap. The whole situation is crap.
How does he get away with, I have to get in condition? Wasn't he supposed, he had all summer to get in condition?
I don't know.
Some of these NBA players, man.
All right, let's get to hockey before we get out of here. Brad, I've been watching the Flyers quite a bit. They finally beat the Boston Bruins. I feel like they haven't beaten the Boston Bruins in years. The Flyers look good. This Cam Atkinson for Jake Voracek trade.
I told you Cam Atkinson was a good player. I mean, I've been telling you that for years. He's a real good player. He's just, he gets hurt a lot. That's the bugaboo with him. If you could keep him on the ice and playing, you're gonna get results out of him. He can score. And he is a leader, and he's one of those high energy kind of guys that you love having on your team. My question with the Flyers, and we were talking about this before, are the Flyers good enough to make the playoffs? I think they can make the playoffs. I think they can come in. I think they can come in 4th or 5th in the division, and have a better record than the 4th place team in the Atlantic.
So are you now? You didn't really like their chances.
Well, I watched them a little. I've been able to watch them a little bit. I think that they're going to be okay. I think they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to find a way to do that. When Carter Hart starts playing like garbage, at least they have another guy to go to who can actually play the position and play it really well. Martin Jones got way too much of the grief when went for San Jose falling apart. He played pretty well for a while. When San Jose fell apart, he kind of fell apart. But you know what? He's a lot of times guys like him, and this for whatever reason, this seems to happen a lot with goalies. When they get a change of scenery, everything changes.
Yeah, it's like kickers and relief pitchers in baseball. Do you think Carter Hart is like a franchise goalie?
No, I don't.
No, you don't.
No,
that's heartbreaking to us Flyers fans because we haven't had a franchise goalie since Perron.
I think he's not bad, but when I take a look at other goalies like Sorokin, for example, I look at some other young goalies. I see Sorokin on the Islanders. I see Shesterkin on the Rangers. I don't think he's at that level right now. I think he's very inconsistent.
And your Rangers, they're cooking. They got 9 points.
They're getting beat tonight 2-0. Unfortunately for them, they have not showed up offensively at all. They're getting severely outshot right now. It's 25-18 in shots on goal, and Shesterkin has stood on his head. And the Rangers are skating in mud tonight. So I don't know. For whatever reason, the Flames have always seemed to have their number. The Flames stink, but they never seem to stink against the Rangers. You take a look at who the Flyers have to try to beat in the Atlantic Division. I think it's pretty obvious that the Panthers are going to be a playoff team. I think Toronto is going to be a playoff team, and Tampa Bay is going to be a playoff team as well. So I think you've got those 3 teams are going to be playoff teams. But you know what? The rest of that division, I don't know. I think the Flyers are better than the rest of the teams in that division. And that includes the Bruins. I don't think the Bruins are that good anymore.
Now, what's changed? Because you didn't have the Flyers in the playoffs.
Well, what's changed is the fact that I look at the Bruins, and I just don't like what I see. They look other than the perfection line. There's no offense coming out of that team, and I think that's going to be a problem. I do think the Flyers, while they don't have the big star, they can get offense from more than one line, and that should be, I think that should help them. You take a look at our division, okay, the Metropolitan. You can throw out the Devils and you can throw out the Blue Jackets, okay, especially now that the Devils lost Jack Hughes. That's death for them. That's a death knell. So there's 6 teams now, and there are five playoff spots. Okay, again, I'm throwing out the Penguins. I don't think the Penguins are going to be that good this year. I know that they've played well to start the season, but I think at some point these young kids are not going to continue to play the way they've been playing. I don't see it. You know, Sid and Malkin are old. I don't see them continuing to play at this level. So I think the Flyers could beat them out for the 5th spot. The Rangers I think are going to come in 4th. And then you've got Carolina, you got the Islanders, and you've got the Capitals. And I think that's where the beasts are going to be.
So who's the best team in the NHL right now, do you think?
Well, now that Nathan McKinnon is back from the COVID list, I'm going to go right back to my beginning season pick, which is the Colorado Avalanche. Yeah, as long as Kemper stays healthy, and that's always been a thing with him and Gauthier. The two of them have to stay healthy, especially Kemper, because I think Kemper is going to be their playoff goalie. They'll be fine. But apparently, watching what I've been able to see out of the Flyers, they look like a pretty solid team. Yeah, I think that they're going to at times have problems scoring. I think that's going to be a problem. I think they're a lot better defensively. So let's see. I think they could make the playoffs, though. I do. I'm not convinced.
I hope so.
I'm not convinced that the Bruins are better than the Flyers this year, and I'm not convinced the Penguins are better than the Flyers.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of Sports Sound. Stay tuned for Flight Zone coming up in about 20 minutes here on A2D Radio. Evan, Jimmy, do a great job. Stick around. Philly Sports Talk all night long. He's Brad Ryer. I'm Rob Brinkman. Thank you to Frank Vespi for producing the show. Until next week, peace out, everybody.